Vetulonia, the glory of the people of Lydia, a history of a town during the Etruscan and Roman age. Only two documents, one literary, the other iconic, testify to the extremely important role of the ancient town of Vetulonia in the Roman imperial age. One, the famous passage from Punica by the Latin poet Silius Italicus, Vetulonia, Gloria Gentis Maionia, commemorates the transfer of symbols of power from Vetulonia to Rome, and two, the so-called Claudius throne, shows in relief on a marble slab the personification of Vetulonian populace, as a young man, which stands beside those of Vulcius and Tarquinius Populi. The excavations in the old town between the end of the 19th century and in the last part of the 20th century proved that Vetulonia was destroyed in a fire in the first half of the 1st century BC, only to be rebuilt during the First Imperial Age. This has been shown in the domus, aristocratic houses, of the Augustus age, which were discovered among the ruins of the Costa Morata site. In the most ancient history of Vetulonia, the archaeological documentation proves that after a static period between the 5th and the end of the 5th century BC, the town experienced a strong revival, which took place at the beginning of the Hellenistic age. This perhaps could be connected to the attack of Rome on the coasts of northern Etruria at the beginning of the 3rd century BC, having resulted finally in the retrenchment of the power of Volterra and ended in the capture of Roselle in 294 BC, and with the establishment of friendly relations with Pisa, Populonia, and Vetulonia. The town seems to have encountered a new revival in the middle of the 2nd century BC, as shown by the area explored by Isidoro Falchi in the locality of Poggiarello Renzetti between 1893 and 1896. According to a description given by Falchi,
once the covering of earth was taken away and all the walls were left in place, measuring 106 meters, the group of buildings now discovered looked like a ruined village, deserted for a long time. A large paved road crosses the buildings from the bottom up. Two other narrow roads cross the first to form right angles. Also, some of the buildings show only ground-level walls. Others are as tall as their original height. Some appear to be cut in the hard hillock that forms the room's back walls, and in one section there's a dividing wall between one room to the next. Some others are totally separated from the hillock and appear as a single building without interruption, except for the road. The walls, still without cement, are generally made with irregular flat stones assembled with masterly skill. They are crossed with sewers, which run to a main sewer. There are also buildings made with huge squared stones and with smaller-sized stones of the same shape arranged in horizontal rows. Some of the rooms were probably without a floor. Others have a floor made of lime, with some small terracotta fragments, and others have a real floor with small tiles laid on a level surface of laid-on edge. The wells are often visible, both inside the buildings and in public areas. The most surprising thing when you visit these ruins are the huge amount of terracotta fragments, large jars, amphorae, and different vases, roof tiles and bricks shaped as large squares that, together with many iron pieces, especially nails, cover the floor of each room.
among the two-floor buildings, a central atrium and a four-pitched roof with impluvium stands out in what is called Medea's Domus. Partially discovered by Falchi and fully excavated at the end of the 80s by the Department of Archaeological Heritage for Tuscany. The discovery inside the atrium of further terracotta plaque fragments, similar to those already found by Falchi, has allowed archaeologist Mario Ziegelman, responsible for the territory of Vetulonia, To explain the mythological tale depicted on the architectural frieze plaques, these are divided into a sequence of episodes related to the tragic heroine Medea's deeds. At the beginning of the 3rd century BC, Babylonia had wide city walls, polygonical shaped, which were later restored and enlarged. Only parts of these walls are preserved in the Poggirello Renzetti and Costia dei Lippi areas. A quite important sanctuary was built during the Hellenistic age at the top of Babylonia's minor acropolis, Costa Murata. This was discovered under a domus built during the Augustus age. There are present still traces of structures from the Hellenistic age, probably relating to a larger Templar building that had as decoration several architectural riverment plaques, but also Minervas and Hercules, head-shaped antefixes, to whose worship the sanctuary was probably devoted, and Maenads and Silenus. An important place of worship was located at the top of the real Acropolis itself, known by the name of Arche, where an impressive terrace wall of about 30 meters long is found. It has a row of regularly cut blocks put over a high 3-rowed polygonal superposed block base. The so-called Arche walls, probably built at the beginning of the 3rd century BC, could have been part of the city walls, but could also have been part of a wide podium meant to isolate and give a sense of importance to a worship area. The importance and centrality of this area is demonstrated by the offerings made, about 2 centuries earlier, of some bronze artifacts, 150 helmets which were inscribed with the name Haspinas. Another place of worship, proved by the architectural terracotta finds, is located at Costia dei Lippi in the Costa Murata Valley, where excavations during the 60s have discovered a portion of an Etruscan Roman area, including part of the city walls, a slanting city entrance door, a basolato, paving stones which were angled underneath so as to fix firmly into the ground, road and some buildings among which is a sacellum, small temple, with clay decoration.